It was a very, very tough game, very competitive game. I mean, some of the shot making in this series has been really beyond belief. Both teams, I mean, some of the shots Ananobi's hit, and one of the setback on the left wing tonight was just unbelievable shot, you know. And so at these high levels, these guys do amazing things. And so when he can get a stop and a rebound, it almost feels like an anomaly sometimes. But proud of Ben Mathurin. The guy has stayed ready. Came in yesterday, worked, got shooting in, got some simulated game shots. I've just been encouraging him to stay ready, that we need him, and that the playoffs are they're just a different animal. And so tonight he was great. Really gave us a huge lift, and it's a really timely bucket. So really proud of him. I know Ty did some historic stat stuff tonight. That's great, but you know, it's tough talking about stats when it's such a team thing right now. So happy for him. You know, it'll get celebrated on all the networks and stuff like that. But in our world right now, it's day 7 of 13, and tomorrow's day 8, and we've got to just keep our eye on the ball and keep focusing on each day.
Rick Tyrese put a lot of the team's offensive struggles on game 3 on himself in that second half. What did you think of his changed approach today, and how did that help both him and everybody?
Well, he was the leader tonight, and you know, we had some difficult film stuff yesterday, not fun, but our guys, they're authentic guys, and they want authenticity and the truth, and you know, sometimes the truth is pretty painful, but we allowed things to go a different direction than they needed to go in game 3, and you know, tonight we were determined to turn it back our direction. And that said, it was still, you know, when it's 7 points with a minute and a half to go, you know, you can call it a 1-possession game this time of year. It's just, there's too much amazing shot making and too much variance in the game. So we did some things to get some key stops. You know, we're still pretty young, you know, so we're learning by some of the experience that we're getting right now. But we've got to stay in the moment. We've got to keep our eye on the ball, and you know, go day to day and moment to moment here.
You noted before about some of your players that you can notice when their disposition is different on a game day. After what Benedict Mathurin did yesterday, did you notice anything different about him going into this one?
He's always ready to play, to me, you know, and you know, he watched last year when he was injured how the whole thing went. You know, we didn't have the variance in our lineup last year that we have this year. We have, you know, we're playing 12 guys. You know, Walker hasn't played in the series yet. We're playing 11 other guys, you know, and it would be 12. And so if he was playing some, and he may still. And you know, with the Towns matchup being so difficult, you know, Miles fouled out tonight. You know, Walker has got to stay ready, and he was there yesterday too, along with Furphy. Those 3 guys work together, keep themselves ready for whatever was needed. So, anyway, it's you can't exhale at all in the playoffs.
I want to go back to Halliburton, obviously, on top of what he does in the offensive end in terms of pushing tempo, 12 defensive rebounds, 4 steals. What would you like on top of just his ability to get his hands on the ball and start things that way, basically, by causing turnovers and grabbing some rebounds when that's something you really needed?
Yeah, and he's doing this within the system. You know, there isn't a lot of freelance stuff where, you know, they're just kind of outside the box gambles. You know, he's doing it within the system, and that's real growth. And look, he's had a lot of things happen this year. You know, the year's been filled with ups and downs. he's remained remarkably resilient and steadfast in, you know, his belief in what we're doing and who he is. And so, you know, we need him to continue to lead us. And, you know, Siakam was great again tonight too. And I didn't even look at the stat sheet on him, but, you know, he's just making timely play after timely play. And so, but we got good contributions up and down the roster. You know, even the guys off the bench that didn't score much played with a lot of presence and a lot of purpose.
I also wanted to ask about one of those other guys, Aaron, obviously coming off the ankle, goes for 16, hits a couple big threes to get it started. Just, I think he's plus 20, I think, on the floor for you tonight. Just how important was he being able to, you know, overcome that and play? It seemed like it didn't even affect him.
Yeah, I was really concerned after Game 3 what today was going to feel like for him. He got a lot of treatment yesterday. Fortunately, we didn't have to travel. You get in a plane with an ankle, the thing, you know, has a tendency to blow up. But he's done a lot of treatment. He's got all kinds of electronic devices hooked up to him. I know his mom's in town helping him with ice and stuff like that. And he was determined to be in this game. You know, I mean, so very meaningful that he was able to do it. And so, you know, hopefully he can bounce back from tonight. And one of the reasons I wanted to get him out in the last minute, you know, I just don't want somebody to step on foot or something like that, or walk by a referee. And, you know, you just don't know. But he'll work hard to stay ready, and we'll see where we are, whatever day it is, Thursday.
Good time for three more.
Rick, just going back to Tyrese again, just among all the numbers he put up, to have 0 turnovers, pacey plays, all the things he does for you guys, just he's obviously a low turnover guy always, but what just allows him to operate so much with the ball, do all these things, and really just not cough it up like that?
Yeah, I mean, he was really throwing the ball ahead tonight too, which was really important for us. And to not have any turnovers in any of those situations too it's pretty remarkable. But this has become his thing, and you know, there will be a new statistical category, perhaps named after him somewhere down the line. You know, him and Chris Paul, these guys, you know, there aren't a lot of guys. I know Stockton didn't turn it over much back when he played. There are others. You know, LeBron James didn't turn it over very much. Yeah, you can go right down the line, some of the all-time greats. And so I know he takes great pride in it, and that's a motivating factor.
Rick, I remember you said when Benedict got drafted here, when he worked out here during the draft, he came back that night for the workout. What have you learned about the young man from that point till now, about the work he puts into his game, and just, like you said, kind of staying ready and staying in the gym?
Yeah, he's a confident young man, and you know, he's tough. He's legitimately tough. I mean, in a tough playoff series against a tough opponent like this, I mean, he fits into this. In games this year where you're playing against physical opponents and it becomes a ratty game, you know, he goes in there and he's gonna come out of there with 15 points and 7 free throws, you know, and stuff like that. So, but this is a great moment for him. But he can't exhale, you know, can't exhale. I mean, in the playoffs, I heard Steve Nash say this one time years ago, when you win, it feels like you're never going to lose again, and when you lose, it feels like you're never going to win again. And those are the emotions, and that's why each of these games looks and feels and is so different.
Last one.
Rick, you had mentioned, you said there's all these different statistical things with Tyrese, but it's about the team, the collective. How important is it that Tyrese's style of play feeds so directly into that collective style? It's low touch time, it's high pass, it's high assist. Does that make it easier to build the kind of culture that you guys have here?
It does. But I'm just really tired about talking about individual stats this time of year. You know, it's just not. It just flies in the face of what's necessary. You know, I had a radio show this morning, and somebody asked me about Ben Matherin's numbers. You know, I mean, this is a team game. It's not about the numbers. It's about being ready. And a lot of times defining plays in the playoffs have nothing to do with statistical things. They're loose ball plays. They're charges taken, stuff like that. You know, I mean, you know, celebrate that. You know, talk about that. I mean, those are the kinds of things that are truly important. So, look, Tyrese is a great player, and I think people realize that. You know, he happens to do some very impressive statistical things, but he's well aware that all of this far transcends statistics.